What is going on, little rascals? Welcome back to an episode of WNN, your source for the music and music production news. We have quite a few big stories to talk about today. Apparently there's corruption at Spotify. Who would have guessed? Baby Audio released a new mid-synth, MPC key 37, and most importantly, I adjusted the lighting to look less greasy, as opposed to more greasy, which I know is funnier, but I'm trying to gain new subscribers. Ben Jordan, a fellow music producer and YouTuber, I've actually featured him on this channel before, had all his music taken down off of streaming platforms via TUNECORE with some extremely suspicious circumstances. Now, not all of you may know this, but he was actually a pretty big musician and producer before doing YouTube, his project known as the Flashbulb. So this entire thing unfolded over the weekend. Ben Jordan tweeted out, "On what planet is it okay to ban an artist with 1.6 million annual listeners without any communication?" So essentially they took down almost all of his music. I did see a couple singles and an EP still up there. So apparently they took down 23 albums, which had a total of 100 million streams. No information from TuneCore. I know when DistroKid did something similar to me, they did provide one pop-up notification, and that was literally it. And he is right. If you are an independent musician, this should scare you. So he reached out to TuneCore several times. I'm assuming he did privately as well as publicly. He was talking about looking at a way to sell his publishing and how he could get his numbers. He did hear back from them. They notified him that Spotify identified and removed a high amount of streams from royalty calculation due to evidence of abnormal streaming activity on one or more of your releases. That sounds really familiar. So they performed an additional internal investigation and they confirmed this evidence. I'm not sure how they confirmed it exactly. And as a result, they took down all of his releases. So he also posted here a picture of his numbers over the last 4 months. Now this graph may look a little strange to you at first, but it is supposedly a fluctuation between weekday and weekend listening. Nothing else looks too weird here other than that. Followers, playlist ads, saves. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Ben is legit. He's been around for a long time before YouTube. He's played a lot of shows and toured a lot. He is not new to this. He was a musician and producer before a YouTuber. Now it gets a little bit interesting here. He kind of pokes fun at the idea of him having click farm operations. Because if you look at this, his listeners are clearly spread out through many countries. Generally, when you have some sort of botting operation, they're all coming from one location, usually like a less developed country. He also pointed out that this may have something to do with his criticism of Spotify in the past, which I think is entirely possible. For those of you that don't know, he has criticized Spotify publicly via videos or speeches. He also publicly gives tips on when to short Spotify stock. Short selling a stock is when you borrow shares from a broker and then immediately sell them knowing that the share price will most likely fall. And then when it falls, you buy the shares back at a lower price and then return them to the broker and then keep the difference. It is not illegal, and I can personally understand why people would want to do this to Spotify or any other large music tech company. They suck. They suck. That's it. They suck. Some of these videos that Ben has done have hundreds of thousands of views. I would not be surprised if he is on their radar. I do find it very interesting that a lot of the content creators who have been very critical of Spotify are experiencing ban and botting issues. Really makes you wonder. Let's start here. Ben, me, Curtis King. I'm sure there's more. That's all I got. I don't know. Those are just the people who've been vocal about it. I'm sure there's more out there. Those are just the ones I know of. Now, I'm not trying to say they are banning people for criticism. Okay, maybe I'm saying that a little bit. It is also entirely possible that these are just third-party people botting. Except for Ben Jordan. There's no explanation for that yet. We have not seen any botted plays or any, it looks like there's no botting going on at all. It looks like they just don't like him. But also his criticisms have been broadcasted much louder and further than mine or Curtis's. Essentially, Spotify has enacted a new rule where they charge distributors $10 for every track that gets caught with fraudulent stream. Essentially, it has caused distributors to go ban happy. For some reason, both Spotify as well as the distributors act like bad actors are not a thing. They just tell everyone that these rules are in place and they act like people can't just bot other people's songs in order to get them taken down or to get them banned off the platform. There's definitely a huge problem with music streaming as well as the new music industry, especially with the fact that they are colluding together. Not only does it pay virtually nothing, but it is entirely out of our control at this point. The fact that they are colluding together means they can blacklist you at any point for any reason. They're just making up reasons now, and they don't even make sense. Just as I was about to press the upload button on this video, we got breaking news that TuneCore magically reversed their decision. After not providing any evidence of what Spotify found or what they found in their internal investigation, it really seems like they reversed this decision because of the backlash they're getting on social media. This makes them look really bad. Banning a large artist with no valid explanation. It really appears that there is some corruption going on. What else could it be? If this happened to a smaller artist who couldn't make such a commotion about it, it would fall on deaf ears. Anyways, he has uploaded all of his music with a pay what you want sort of deal. I will link it in the description if that is interesting to you. 47 albums, the streaming band pack. So TLDR, Spotify's we need to keep our mouths shut or we will also be banned. So Baby Audio decided to follow up their last plugin, Transit, with some absolute mid. And in my first impressions, I was not impressed. It's a physical modeling synth named Atoms. So at first glance, it has a pretty interesting UI. They state that it is a new kind of synth plugin. It is not really that new though. Physical modeling has existed. At its heart, Atoms is like a bowed string instrument created in a science lab, living and breathing with a mind of its own. I think working with Andrew Huang on their last plugin has gone to their head a bit. Obviously, physical modeling mimics the behavior of real-life instruments. Now, if you watch their main trailer video, you might be pretty impressed by it. I think the trailer is pretty impressive. It has great visual effects, and it sounds all right. But overall, it's a very pleasing package. Pause. I'm not really somebody that says pause, but it's a pleasing package. But I think once you dive into the other videos and kind of look at the sounds a bit more, it's not as impressive. Like when I watch this video, I want to buy it, but when I watch the other videos that showcase the sounds one by one, not so much. Shout out to whoever did the visuals here. I think they killed it, but that's about it. One thing I always like about their videos is how they have this guy here who looks a bit like a bank robber. Like I said, the UI is pretty cool. Yeah, it sounds not super impressive, but let's give him a little more of a chance here. Impressive stuff. Like, it's okay, but the fact that this costs $100 at normal price, while Reason's Object is also $100 at normal price. Now, granted, Atom is currently $59 at an intro price, but if we're going to compare prices, we got to compare both the normal prices. Spend your money better on Reason's Object, obviously. From what I've seen, Object has much more options, and I've heard much crazier sounds come out of it.
And we can skip plucking or bowing our instrument and get our instruments sounding instead from external sources, so that mouth percussion becomes harmonic textures. Or even play drums off your microphone.
Need I say more? Would you guys believe this? In our next story, a man threw feces at Spotify. And we don't know if it was Ben Jordan or Curtis King, but I do have high suspicions that it was one of them. So this actually comes from a Swedish article, and I'm believing it happened in Sweden. This is being translated through the internet, so I'm going to do my best here. So apparently this man with a very blurry face threw feces at Spotify. Now, based on the skin color, I think we can rule out Curtis King. This actually happened almost 2 weeks ago, maybe like a week and a half ago. So I think we can probably rule out Ben Jordan, although he could have done it, and that could be why they banned him. We don't know for certain. He smiles, then throws poo at Spotify's office. I don't know, man. It's sounding a little bit like Ben Jordan to me, if I could be honest here. So in police interrogation, this is not made up, by the way. I thought for sure this wasn't real. The algorithms, the playlists from the streaming services are ruining my life, he says in police interrogation. I gotta be honest, I kind of feel the same. Now the man is charged with serious damage and molestation and is required to pay 330,000 Swedish krona, I think. So he has to pay 330,000. Seems pretty real, man. They got pictures of police. They got pictures of the guy's blurred out face. Not sure why it's blurred. So this actually happened on January 23rd. It was only reported about a week and a half ago, though. So it was a German man who visited Sweden. He held a glass with a mixture of water and feces, which he had prepared before the visit. Sick stuff. Absolutely sickening. He smiled and then threw the mixture over the reception. I don't understand why he threw it on the receptionist. There had to be a better target, like at least Daniel Ek or someone. It's not just Spotify, it's the entire digital infrastructure. There is no competition. Apple and Google are involved in this too. I mean, some might say this man is insane, but the reasoning is kind of solid. I mean, they got a picture here. I'm going to have to blur that. For some reason, they blurred everyone's faces, but they didn't blur the on the ground. I don't know what's up with that. He admitted to the crime, so we don't even have to say allegedly. One of the victims was a security guard. Bro. Okay, he didn't even get the receptionist. He got the security guard. Oh, man. Talk about wrong target, man. So, okay, I'm not going to go into any more details. It's kind of gross. Next story here, MPC key 37. I'm a bit late to this one, partially because I already did a video about the leak. Didn't want to do a video about it right when it came out, but I still feel obligated to include it here. So obviously the MPC key 37 is a little brother of the MPC key 61. It has full-size keys with aftertouch, 16 velocity sensitive RGB pads, of course. Gotta have that gamer color. Multi-core processing, just like the other one. Touchscreen, but it only has 2 gigs of RAM. My daughter's little pink $100 laptop has 4 gigs of RAM, so make of that whatever you will. 32 gigs of internal storage. Hey, that laptop has the same amount of storage too. So I did tell you guys though, even less RAM than the 61. You can't expect more. Otherwise, it's gonna make the 61 obsolete. There was no way they were gonna make it better. Even if they had the capability, it would just ruin the sales of the 61. Comes with 8 gigs of samples, drums, and 8 plug-in instruments. Audio, MIDI, I/O, USB A and B ports, 4 CV gate jacks, SD card slot, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. No SSD slot though. Obviously, you could probably get by with the SD because you know they can hold a lot of storage these days. If you want that, clearly you get the 61. MPC STEM support coming in the near future. Definitely one cool thing about these newer MPCs. It is $899 and only available in red. Okay, in our next story, Ableton Live 12 is now on the Push 3 standalone in beta. So you can test out the new features or help them find any issues with it, which may actually be a good idea because they need to do that. So give them a lot of help, please. Obviously, I don't have my Push 3 standalone anymore. According to their site, the only thing required is a legit copy of Push 3 standalone. So you don't even need a legit copy of Ableton, I think. They did not state if they're going to give you a free copy of Live 12. I actually opted into it to see if you did, and I read every page, did not see anything about it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised they did not clarify if you got a copy of it or not. I'm going to assume you probably don't get a copy of it, or maybe they're trying to not tell people because they don't want people to sign up just for that. I guess you'll have to find out. I mean, you could just sign up for the beta and then, you know, find out. You don't even have to really test it that much, but do test it. They need help. Ableton needs all the help they can get. Attention all broke boys. You're gonna need to leave the video now. Please exit in an orderly fashion to the left. Broke boys, go this way. I'm just kidding, please don't leave. So obviously Apple recently released their Vision Pro. It is what they describe as a spatial computer. It better have a fancy name like that when it costs $3,500. It makes me look like I've had a lobotomy. It is also rated 2.5 stars, not off to a great start. I have seen some great memes about it though, so that's one good thing. I can only hope that Samsung will try to get into this market ASAP and make a competing spatial computer that is even worse, because the jokes they'll get even better. Anyways, MOOG released the ANIMOOG Galaxy, a synth just for your augmented lobotomy machine. Obviously, it is controlled with hand gestures. It also works with MIDI and MPE. Obviously, if you're gonna use it with MIDI though, I don't understand why you wouldn't just use a normal computer at that point. It has an intelligent step sequencer. It's only $29. That's one good thing. If you're wondering, you can record, I think. It has some basic effects, lets you do modulation, meh. And our next story, Rick Ross is offering $1,000 to anyone who can ride this bike.
Whoever can ride this bike right here, I give you $1,000 right now, but you gotta go down the hill. You gotta go down the hill.
So I guess DM him if you think you could ride this down a hill. Honestly, it depends on the hill, but I think I could do it. Honestly, we do have more stories here, but I am running out of time. It is almost 4 in the morning. Need to get this video finished and posted. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you want to support the channel, consider joining my Patreon or becoming a channel member. We'll see you guys next time.
Bang Incorporated.